Welcome to our show. Today we're diving into the complex waters of race and socioeconomic scales. This isn't a everything is fine now conversation. It's deeply rooted in history and quite complicated. We'll unpack definitions and examine how different racial groups are positioned on the socioeconomic ladder. Your race shouldn't dictate your life outcomes, but often it does. So, let's dive in and tackle these uncomfortable but necessary topics. Let's start with a group familiar with systemic disadvantages: Black people. Their history in America is a testament to resilience in the face of relentless adversity. Racism is about power, and in a society built on slavery and Jim Crow laws, the power imbalance is stark. These laws were designed to maintain a hierarchy that placed Black people at the bottom. Centuries of discrimination and segregation don't just disappear. The scars of these injustices are still visible today, woven into the fabric of our society. We see it in higher poverty rates, educational inequities, and disproportionate incarceration. These are not just statistics. They represent real lives affected by systemic barriers. This isn't about individual blame, but acknowledging systems that disadvantage Black people. It's about recognizing that these issues are deeply rooted in our history and continue to affect the present. A level playing field doesn't appear just because we want it to. It requires intentional effort to dismantle the structures that perpetuate inequality. There's incredible resilience and cultural richness within the Black community. Their contributions to art, music, literature, and culture are immeasurable and have shaped the very essence of American identity. But we can't celebrate achievements without acknowledging the hurdles overcome. Every success story is a testament to the strength and determination required to navigate a system stacked against them. A 100-meter dash is more impressive with a 50-meter head start. Imagine running that race with weights tied to your ankles. That's the reality for many Black individuals. Let's retire the trope of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. It's a myth that ignores the systemic barriers that make such a feat nearly impossible for many. It's insensitive and factually inaccurate. The narrative of self-reliance must be balanced with an understanding of the structural obstacles that hinder progress. We need to acknowledge systemic barriers and work towards dismantling them. This requires collective action and a commitment to justice and equity. For those who think we're past all that, check your privilege at the door. Privilege can blind us to the realities faced by others, making it crucial to listen and learn. It's time to have these uncomfortable but necessary conversations. Only through open dialogue and a willingness to confront our past can we hope to build a more equitable future. Next, let's discuss our Asian friends, often seen as the model minority. High educational attainment and strong work ethic are often highlighted. But the model minority myth is harmful and inaccurate. It ignores the vast diversity within the Asian community. Over 50 different ethnicities and heritages have unique experiences and challenges. Lumping them together is lazy and harmful. This myth pits minority groups against each other. It also ignores the racism and discrimination Asian Americans face. From the Chinese Exclusion Act to recent hate crimes, prejudice persists. Let's embrace the nuanced reality of the Asian American experience. A rising tide should lift all boats, not just the ones with the fanciest sails. Time to talk about the elephant in the room: white people. It's a topic that often makes people uncomfortable, but it's crucial for understanding the dynamics of privilege and power in our society. This isn't about guilt-tripping anyone. It's not about pointing fingers or assigning blame. Instead, it's about fostering awareness and understanding. It's about acknowledging the advantages of being white in a society built by and for white people. These advantages are often invisible to those who benefit from them, but they are very real. Privilege doesn't mean you haven't worked hard. It means you haven't had to work harder because of your skin color. It means that certain obstacles that others face simply don't exist for you. Imagine life as a video game where some start at a higher level simply because they're white. This analogy helps to illustrate how systemic advantages work. This privilege manifests in countless ways, from better education to less police scrutiny. It can be seen in job opportunities, healthcare access, and even in everyday interactions. The default setting in our society often favors whiteness. This means that white people are more likely to see themselves represented in media, politics, and leadership roles. Acknowledging white privilege isn't about feeling guilty. It's about recognizing the unearned benefits and using that awareness to make a positive change. It's about using that awareness to become an ally. Allies can use their privilege to support marginalized communities and advocate for systemic change. Amplify marginalized voices and challenge your own biases. This means listening more, speaking less, and being open to learning and growing. We all benefit from a more just and equitable world. When everyone has the opportunity to thrive, our communities become stronger and more vibrant. Let's start having those uncomfortable but necessary conversations. It's through these dialogues that we can begin to dismantle the systems of privilege and create a fairer society for all. Now, let's talk about Hispanic and Latino Americans. This community is a vibrant tapestry woven from many different threads, each contributing to the rich cultural fabric of our nation. This community is as diverse and dynamic as its music. From the rhythmic beats of salsa to the soulful melodies of mariachi, their music tells stories of joy, struggle, and resilience. Despite incredible diversity, they face common challenges from systemic inequalities. These challenges are not just individual struggles but are deeply rooted in historical and structural issues. There's a persistent gap in income and education levels. This gap isn't just a statistic. It represents real barriers that affect the daily lives and future opportunities of many. This isn't about a lack of ambition. It's about systemic barriers. These barriers can make it difficult for even the most determined individuals to achieve their dreams. Hateful rhetoric often targets this community, painting them inaccurately. Such rhetoric not only misrepresents but also marginalizes, creating an environment where discrimination can thrive. This dehumanizing language creates a climate of fear and suspicion. It affects how people see themselves and how they are seen by others, leading to a cycle of mistrust and division. But there's incredible resilience, creativity, and a deep sense of community. These qualities shine through in their art, their celebrations, and their everyday lives. From vibrant music to rich cultural traditions, they enrich our society. Their contributions are a testament to their enduring spirit and cultural pride. Let's ditch the stereotypes and embrace the diversity of this community. By doing so, we can appreciate the full spectrum of their experiences and contributions. Work towards dismantling systemic barriers. This requires collective effort and a commitment to justice and equality. Create a society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Together, we can build a future that honors and uplifts every member of our diverse community. Let's talk about Native Americans, the original inhabitants of this land. They've faced centuries of unimaginable hardship. From forced removal to cultural suppression, their history is tragic. The legacy of trauma continues to cast a long shadow. Native Americans face high poverty rates and limited access to healthcare and education. This isn't just historical injustice, it's an ongoing crisis. Acknowledge the generational trauma and take steps to address systemic inequities. Amidst challenges, there's remarkable resilience and a deep connection to heritage. Native communities work tirelessly to preserve traditions and fight for sovereignty. Honoring their history means creating a just and equitable future for all. Let's shed light on Pacific Islanders, often overlooked in discussions about race. This diverse group has roots in Polynesia, Micronesia, and Melanesia. Despite contributions to society, they face unique challenges. Lack of access to healthcare and economic opportunities is pressing. Limited education and job training create a cycle of poverty. Environmental challenges like rising sea levels exacerbate disparities. It's time to bring their experience to the forefront. Address the lack of data and research on this community, amplify their voices and understand their unique challenges. Work towards creating an inclusive and equitable society for all Pacific Islanders. Let's talk about Middle Eastern Americans, often misrepresented and misunderstood. This diverse group has roots in the Arab world, Iran, Turkey, and Western Asia. Since 9/11, they've faced increased prejudice and discrimination. This manifests in hate crimes, bullying, and workplace discrimination. It creates a sense of otherness, making them feel like perpetual foreigners. Amidst challenges, There's incredible resilience and a rich cultural heritage. Middle Eastern Americans contribute significantly to society. Move beyond stereotypes and recognize their diversity and richness. Challenge Islamophobia and create a society where everyone feels safe and respected. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of race and socioeconomics in America. We've only scratched the surface, but hopefully this sparks important conversations. Understanding these complex issues is an ongoing process. Keep learning, listening, and having those necessary conversations. The more we understand each other, the closer we get to a just and equitable society. Remember, colorblindness isn't the goal. Seeing each other's full humanity is. Stay tuned for our next episode on colorism and its impact on society. Until then, keep the conversation going.